What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and tonight I've got some football focus. The Pittsburgh Steelers just concluded their third and final preseason game of the 2023 NFL preseason. We are officially 3-0. Pittsburgh won the game very handily. I'm sorry I'm a little late. I had rehearsal in the middle of the game, so I had to DVR the game and go back and watch the second quarter, so I'm bringing you guys the review about an hour or so late. But an hour ago, Pittsburgh got a 24-0 victory over the Atlanta Falcons, who admittedly did play most of their backups. Not many starters played. So Pittsburgh had a pretty easy time, especially considering we did play our first string for a couple drives. There was a lot of controversy coming in about that being a good idea or bad idea. We've got a pretty young unit who needed more reps, and they made the most of those reps. But I feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers are like the game telephone. You know, in school, when you're in like first grade, and the teacher walks over in your ear and whispers you a secret, and you know the secret that nobody else knows. That is the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. I know a secret. I have a secret, and I'm going to give you guys a channel exclusive here. So come real close to your screens. Put your ear up to the screen. I'll be nice and quiet about it. Here's the secret. The Pittsburgh Steelers are really, really freaking good. And the rest of the league does not know it yet. Now, I know all the caveats in the world. I know it was just camp. It was just preseason. We just won 3 preseason games. A lot of guys are playing their backups. The Falcons D in general is not very good. Their starters weren't playing. I'm not talking about this game alone. I'm not talking about all of camp alone or all the 3 preseason games alone. I'm talking about the totality of the building of the team, the drafting of young players, the bringing in of free agents, the trading for guys like Minka, getting guys like TJ Watt, bringing in all these veterans at inside linebacker, drafting extra outside linebackers, getting better depth. Pittsburgh in total has built a team of a young nucleus with good veterans, good depth, and no real holes on this team. Again, we've got to prove it in the regular season. We're not playing real opponents yet necessarily, but the rest of the league has no idea how good I think we are this year. I will get into record predictions in a different video, but let's talk about this game real quick. I'm not going to go over individual stat lines, but I have a lot of guys I want to shine on. So Pittsburgh goes up instantly. They go down, score real quick, get a stop, score again, get a stop, come down and get a field goal, get a stop, get another touchdown. By the end of the first half, it is 24-0. Atlanta can do nothing. Pittsburgh is on fire in every facet of the game, all 3 phases of the game. Pittsburgh is rolling. Nothing really happened in the second half. A lot of third and fourth stringers doing a whole lot of nothing really. But let's talk about it. So Kenny Pickett and company come out in the first quarter, first couple of drives. Got 5 names written down here quickly. Kenny Pickett, Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens. This offense looks deadly. Again, Falcons defense, back up Falcons. I get it. But in all 3 of these games, you could not ask for a better preseason. As far as preseasons go, what you want to see is effectiveness, good drives, quick scores, and health. And Pittsburgh has that all right now. Pittsburgh's starting offense has played 5 drives in 3 games this preseason. 5 quick touchdowns. 5 drives, 5 long drives, 5 quick touchdowns. They're showing good field position. They're showing good kick returning and punt returning. They're showing fundamentals on the kicking and punting aspects on the defensive side of the ball. We are looking really, really good. Pickett comes out with 2 really good throws in his first drive. One is a 30-plus yard downfield play to Deontay Johnson, who gets up behind his man and makes a nice catch. Throws another really good short ball down the field one-on-one to George Pickens, who goes up, makes a good hands catch and toe taps like he always does. These guys are showing what they can do. Deontay using his route running and speed. Pickens using his strength and his hands. Love seeing that from those guys. Najee Harris, he was a negative last week. I was looking to see Najee Harris make a play. I said, obviously he's a starter, he's a franchise guy, 2-time 1,000-yard running back, but he hadn't made any plays in camp or preseason, and I was getting a little worried because Warren and McFarland were making plays. Tonight, all 3 of those guys made plays. Najee came out with a nice first down run, came out with another 7-yard run after that, and then caught a screen for I think a 12-yard gain. So we saw him run between the tackles, we saw a strong finish, and we saw a pass-catching play as well. So Najee made 3 nice plays. That's all I had to see. I feel good about that. Tomlin said he's going to split a lot this year, pretty much down the middle with Jalen Warren. That's not so much about Najee being bad, that's Jalen Warren being good. Najee came out, had a touchdown in this game. Jalen Warren comes out on the second drive on a short field, makes 2 nice runs in this game, one to the outside and then one between the tackles, finishing for a nice touchdown up the middle, reaching over, making a smart play. Jalen Warren looks good again, second straight game with a touchdown. He's got so much burst. Najee finishing run strong, Jalen with the burst and the combination, and then you have McFarland as the speed back. This running backfield looks really complete this year, and the offensive line, the starting offensive line at least, not so much the backups, but the starters are looking really good in that regard. Again, Deontay and Pickens both made nice plays as well. Second team comes in for after the second drive and part of the first drive as well. Calvin Austin played well tonight, had one really nice kick return. And broke about like a 30-yarder or so, but he's only had a couple. I'm sorry, punt return. He's only had a couple of punts return, but he's made some nice, made the most out of those returns. Calvin Austin is going to be one of the more explosive punt returners in the league if they keep him there where they should. He also had a little like 4 or 5 yard rush off the motion play, and then he had a 7 or 8 yard catch downfield. So short work for him tonight, but looks good. He's doing the fundamental things right, and he looks fast as all hell. He's a game breaker because when he's been returning punts, he is changing the field for us. He's giving us short fields and the other team long fields. I love the way he is changing the game on special teams. Good theme for that. McFarland comes in, has a few nice runs, gets to the outside. I think, was it Gunnar Olszewski? I think it was Zach Gentry that sealed the inside. McFarland broke like a 30-yard run. Also later on had like a 10 to 12-yard touchdown where he cut up between the tackles right in the middle and then spun off a guy, stayed up on his feet, extended, held his legs up, extended the ball over the plane. Really nice running from McFarland. What a preseason McFarland has had. He has locked up the third running back spot. Good for him. What a preseason. Another great preseason from one of my most favorite Steelers. I talk about this guy every week on offense. I love Connor Hayward. Connor Hayward is a diverse, multi-tooled, multifaceted, physical Steeler. He is a Steeler through and through. Cam Hayward's brother, no big surprise there. Love this guy. He's a good route runner. He's physical. He's underratedly quick for a guy that size. He did everything tonight. He took several carries, and I'll tell you why in a second. Several carries out of the backfield, ran the ball out of the backfield traditionally very well. Didn't see him do much fullback stuff, but did take a screen for a pretty nice gain in this game. Also caught several passes downfield, one from Pickett, I think one from Trubisky as well. Yeah, he's just doing everything right. He's blocking, he can fullback, he can halfback, he can play wide receiver, and even split out, play tight end. The guy is the most diverse offensive piece we have on this team, maybe alongside Calvin Austin. Really love seeing Connor Hayward, and he got carries tonight alongside McFarland as the 3/4 running back because he's going to be the fourth running back on this team. If you count halfbacks and fullbacks as your running back core, as they always count them together when they do the roster assemblage, he's going to be the fullback on this team. That's why they're giving him carries to just make sure he can do that facet of it, because we know he can block and we know he can receive. And once he's on the field at fullback, he can be motioned out and moved around to tight end and receiver spots. So they're making sure he can run because he's going to be another back on this team. Because obviously they're not cutting Freiermuth or Washington, and I don't see why you'd cut Gentry. Keep 3 tight ends and keep Connor as your fourth back being your fullback. 3 halfbacks, 1 fullback, 3 tight ends, they can all stay. They all have a lot of positives to give. Gentry with a good block tonight, Hayward with good runs and good catches. Love to see that. Defensive line, just a couple guys that I enjoyed tonight. Keanu Benton, he played a little more tonight. Didn't play much, I think, in week 2. Played a little more tonight, made some run stuffs. Looks athletic, looks physical. I like Keanu Benton. He's going to be battling for that starting D-tackle spot. The problem is we have too many good D-tackles on this team. Braden Fehoko made a nice tackle tonight. Armon Watts made a nice tackle and a nice pressure on the quarterback tonight. Busted through and almost got a really nice sack. Watts looks really good out there. I think he's maybe slightly ahead of Fehoko, but it's so hard to say. They're both really solid for backups. And then Montravis was a starter last year and has been getting the starts in these games, and Benton has come along nicely. So that's going to be one of the most the toughest and most kind of conjectured or most kind of debated positions on this team, because I like the way they've all played, but Benton was good tonight. Marcus Golden was really good. He's been one of the more underrated players on our defense in preseason, and I think he's getting lost because obviously Watt and Highsmith are all-stars, and Nick Herbig is a freaking monster. We'll talk about him in a second, but Herbig has been so good that Marcus Golden's underappreciated. This dude's a beast, and man, as much as we all want to anoint Herbig as being the next TJ Watt, because boy does he look good, but Marcus Golden, really nice stuff tonight. Got a tip pass and a pressure or two tonight out there. Sacks, we had 5 tonight. We'll talk about these. Nick Herbig, once again, every game a sack. I think he had, 4 sacks in 3 games in this preseason? monster. Again, I know he's playing against kind of mid-level, undercard first, upper card second guys, but he's dominating everybody. He looks quick. He looks diverse. He has multiple moves. He's getting inside and outside. He hit a nice couple running back tackles in his game too. He looped around and got a couple tackles in the run game. This dude looks like a monster. Another sack for Landon Roberts. What a game for Landon Roberts, another underrated player on this defense. We've been looking at Quan Alexander as being like the new guy here at inside linebacker. Landon Roberts, what a run stuffer. What a run stuffer he is. Had a really nice tackle on the running back and then bursted through the hole on a delayed rush up the middle and looked fast as all hell. I thought it was Quan for a second because Landon is not somebody I associate with being fast. Boy, did he burst up the middle and get a hard hit on that quarterback. What a sack. And then he went and hit somebody on a short pass gain and then covered somebody. The pass was behind the running back, but he went and closed the gap fast and hit the guy. So he's covering guys too, and he's making tackles in the open field. Doing a lot more than I expected. What a game, and what a preseason overall. In limited action for Landon Roberts. Really nice stuff. Quincy Roche. What a preseason he's had now. He had not only a sack in this game, but a forced fumble. Which now makes a sack and a half and a forced fumble in the last 2 games. He's been pretty active, and it comes to ask the question about what do you want to do as far as your linebacker room goes, because you've got a couple of options. We'll talk about it. Roche with another nice sack. Really good sack. He reached out and grabbed the quarterback with one hand, but reached out and grabbed the quarterback's arm and pulled down. The quarterback actually jammed his arm on that play because the deflection was so nice from Roche. TJ Watt with the sack, no big surprise there. First drive, Watt comes out like a beast. And Toby Ndukwe, who had a heck of a nice game. Toby Ndukwe gets a sack in this game, also gets a fumble recovery on that Roche strip that I talked about. Also a special teams tackle. He was hitting guys tonight. Toby Ndukwe, pretty good game at outside linebacker, and that's something we'll talk about here as well. Speaking of linebackers, Tanner Muse. Good game overall. We know what he can do on special teams. Played pretty well. Had the big deflect. Was it the interception last week? Or fumble recovery. Had a fumble recovery last week. And I think a batted ball. But several tackles in the run game and covered pretty well tonight. He did get beat, I think, on one zone play. But everything else was pretty good coverage. Special teams is good. His coverage looks a little better than I expected. I'm liking Tanner Muse, and I think he's done enough to stay on this team. So let's talk real quick about the inside/outside linebackers, right? So outside linebackers, you got 4 guys. You got Watt, Highsmith, who else? You got Herbig and Golden. Inside, you're going to have Holcomb, Roberts, Quan Alexander, Mark Robinson, and then you're going to probably have to have Muse as a veteran/special teamer. And then, what do you value now? Do you value Roche being a 5th outside guy? Do you want a 5th outside guy? Or do you want to keep a 6th inside guy like a Kwiatkowski or an Ndukwe? Did he do enough? So there's a lot of potential bodies for that final inside or outside linebacker spot. They're going to have to choose one and go with it. We'll see what happens. Still more stats coming up here. We had a forced fumble from Mark Robinson, another guy who's hitting people. I do think he got beat on another pass play today. Again, still not the best coverage guy, but he's hitting people. He came through. JPJ and him forced a fumble. JPJ got the tackle, and Mark Robinson came in with a helmet hit on the ball, knocked the ball out. Kenny Robinson recovered it. I said last week that I didn't buy into the Kenny Robinson hype. I think he's one of the more overrated Steelers coming out of camp. But he's played pretty well. He's kind of where Trenton Thompson is. They're 2 kind of long guys with a lot of energy. They hit a lot of guys really well. They're around the ball a lot. They're hitting people, but their coverage is not the best. They're kind of getting beat a lot, but then they're making up the splash play with a big hit at the end. But Kenny Robinson so far in 3 games, he had the interception in game 1, now the fumble recovery in game 3. So the turnovers make him a possibility. Kenny Robinson battling with maybe someone like, Miles Killebrew for the last safety spot. That'll be interesting. We'll see what happens. Tanner Muse, again, I give a big +2. Trenton Thompson, a plus and a minus. He had like 2 or 3 really big hits in this game. One was called a penalty. I think it was a bad call, but he was penalized for it. Had like 2 other massive tackles in this game, but then also got beat on a few pass plays. So the only offense the Falcons really got all day was like late 3rd, early 4th quarter when the 3rd string guys were in there in coverage, and a few guys gave those things up. Kenny Robinson and Trenton Thompson were 2 of those guys. My biggest minus for the entire game is James Pierre. Again, I said last week that Kendrick Green is the worst Steeler on the roster right now. And obviously there's a couple guys we don't know, practice squad guys, but Kendrick Green is the worst known, like former major player, former starter, worst known Steeler on this team. I think James Pierre is number 2. James Pierre has just not had a good preseason. He keeps getting a lot of talk about like, oh, he's always around the ball, he's always making tackles, because he's always getting beat. I mean, I don't know if I can make tackles, I'm disabled, but like if you're getting beat 10 times a game and you have 10 tackles, it looks good on the stat sheet, but no, you don't want your corner leading in tackles. You don't want that. It means they're getting beat all the time. James Pierre is not a good coverage guy whatsoever. I don't like what I'm seeing there. Chandon Sullivan, nice pass deflection at the line of scrimmage. I think both Leao and Loudermilk both made a few plays. Again, that defensive line is crowded outside and inside. Who's going to make that roster? There's not enough space there. Special teams wise, Boswell comes out, makes his only field goal of the day. Presley Harvin has one punt. It's a good punt that was downed inside like the 5-yard line. That's a nice play from who made that play? I didn't write it down. Oh, the receiver, Des Fitzpatrick. And then Braden Mann came out with a pretty nice game today. Backup punter. He's been in the battle with Harvin. Had 3 punts for 147 yards, average of 49 yards per punt, and one of the 3 was inside the 20. But I think Harvin is obviously the guy. I think he's earned it. But I don't think Mann did a bad job. And I think once Mann is cut, I think he's going to go play somewhere else in the NFL. I think one of our defensive linemen, I think maybe one of our slot corners, and Mann are going to go somewhere and make some money playing on an NFL roster this year. So yeah, Pittsburgh starters couldn't have looked any better. The perfect preseason. 5 drives, 5 touchdowns, dominant. A lot of sacks, a lot of turnovers, a lot of pressure, a lot of inside linebacker improvements and coverage. The corners looking good. The slot guys are tipping the ball around, making plays. All the rookies look pretty impressive. JPJ, solid game. Benton, solid game. Herbig, great freaking preseason. We look really good. And I'm loving where Pittsburgh is. 24-0. Pittsburgh gets the win. Final roster cuts go from 90 to 53, I think either Monday or Tuesday. I think Tuesday is the day. So what I will do, you guys seem to like it every year, is me doing the roster cuts. I'm going to pick my roster, who I think makes the team in every position, breaking down position by position, tell you guys who's in and who's out in my opinion, and what would be a good or bad idea for certain cuts, and who can maybe slide in at the last second, and who could be a valuable like practice squad kind of person. So we'll talk about that come Monday, but give me your thoughts on this game. Who stood out for you? Did you get what you wanted to see out of the Steelers this preseason? And am I overrating the Steelers? I know it's preseason, but am I overrating this team? Do we look as good as I think we do? Because I think my secret is out. Go Steelers. I'll see you in a few days. Take care.